Good afternoon, everybody. I am so sick and tired of Bill O'Reilly and all the Fox News people getting all over the Black Lives Matter movement. Now notice I said movement. Hashtag Black Lives Matter movement is a bunch of different groups that are flying under the banner hashtag Black Lives Matter. Now, if you haven't seen it, this is a clip where Bill O'Reilly vows to put Black Lives Matter out of business. I'm going to play this clip, and then I'm going to play a clip from TV One with Roland Martin, where he answers Bill O'Reilly to a fault. So here we go.
Stay with us, and Bill O'Reilly in the Unresolved Problem segment tonight, just hours after Deputy Darren Goforth was murdered in Houston, allegedly by a black man. There was an anti-police demonstration at the Minnesota State Fair by Black Lives Matter.
Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. 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 Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon.
Pigs in a blanket means dead police officers. Joining us now from Washington, Mary Catherine Ham. Here in New York City, Juan Williams. Is Black Lives Matter a hate group?
No, I mean, you mean like neo-Nazis or Aryan Nation or Klan or even terrorist groups like Boko Haram?
I wouldn't say they're terrorists. No. I think they're a hate group. They hate police officers.
Well, they have strong feelings about
No, they hate them. They want them dead. Pigs in a blanket is dead.
I think hate group would suggest that they have the means to commit violence, and we have not seen them involved in any violence to this point. In fact, the principal damage, I would say, is they damage themselves, because look at this, they have no agenda.
You can be charged with a hate crime by painting a swastika on a synagogue, okay?
Yes.
These people, after the death, the murder of this deputy, went out and said, we want more police officers killed.
That's what that no, I don't. First of all, I don't know that that's connected. They're in Minnesota. The people in Houston.
Well, everybody knew about it.
Well, I don't think it's connected. I think it was because what I read about the demonstration that took place in Minnesota had to do with the St. Paul Police Department and the number of use of violent force that's led to deaths, which is the highest.
Well, you're giving these people the benefit of the doubt.
What I'm saying to you is these people. You should know that this Black Lives Matter. If they're doing damage, if they're hurting somebody, they're hurting the legacy of the civil rights movement in this country.
I don't argue with that.
They have no agenda.
But my question is, are they a hate group? Mary Catherine.
No, I do not think they're a hate group. Here's the thing, though. If they use the standard that the left uses for groups on the right when categorizing hate groups, then yes, they would be. Because here's the thing. Many on the left and many in the media are interested in classifying anybody who disagrees with them politically as haters. I think that's an unfair standard. And this is a movement that I disagree with sometimes, and this was a disgusting representation of that movement. I don't think that everyone in that movement is engaged in this kind of thing. And I think that they have some points.
I think they're a hate group, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to put them out of business. And any media person who supports them, I'll put them on this program and put their picture right up on it.
Okay, now, Juan Williams gave a half-hearted, if you want to call it, defense of Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, but even he backed up and didn't really give a full-throated endorsement, which I didn't expect because he's on Fox News. And then Mary Catherine, the woman that you just saw, she also said that they're not a hate group, which that Hasselbeck woman on the Fox Early Morning Show was trying to classify them as. Okay, Bill O'Reilly is a jerk, and basically he's pushing this race war agenda, period, and he's full of crap. But now I'm gonna go to a response, and now remember, Bill O'Reilly said that he was going to put any organization that was defending, or any person that was defending Black Lives Matter on his show, and he was going to, I guess, do whatever he was wanting to do with these guys. So if you hang on for 1 second. Okay, here's Roland Martin with his rebuttal to Bill O'Reilly, if it'll play.
everybody seems to have an opinion regarding Black Lives Matter. You listen to these mainstream news folks, you swear they don't know how to actually do any research. Last week, I blasted Bill O'Reilly of Fox News for lying about Black Lives Matter on the air. Juan Williams, who joined him, said they had no agenda. We also busted out that lie. Well, guess who now joins the lie? And that's why we have this no-lie zone. It's CNN anchor Don Lemon. Here's Don last week talking with Rashad Turner of a St. Paul, Minnesota chapter of Black Lives Matter.
What is the end game of Black Lives Matter if you don't want to involve in the political process when so many things have come together to help your particular cause?
Well, see, the end game is for us to stop being killed, for us to stop being beat.
But how does that happen? There's all this talk. The question, and I want to be very respectful of you, but how does that happen without legislation, without being involved in the political or the legislative process? It doesn't just happen from yelling.
It doesn't happen from yelling without being involved in the political process. Don, do you have the capacity to actually use Google? See, this is what happens when you sit in the office all day and you don't do any real reporting. Now, I'm going to pull up for you a column that Juan Williams of Fox News wrote in the Hill newspaper. This is on their website, thehill.com. Scroll up, please. Here's the column, okay? And in this particular column, Juan Williams actually says the following, which is stunning. It is as if he also doesn't know how to research. And I know Juan, and I like Juan. But for some reason, he gets it wrong. He says they're playing with fire. In the opening line, Black Lives Matter is fast becoming its own worst enemy. He says it lacks an agenda. It is antagonizing the black community's top white political allies, including Democrats running for the party's 2016 presidential nomination. And it is not finding common ground with any of the Republican majority in Congress. He then goes on to say, in the same piece here, the movement's failure to get its collective act together carries real danger for the political clout of African Americans in the 2016 election. But check this out. This is hilarious. He says in this piece that they have failed to connect with Latinos. Quote, they're not finding common cause with Latinos. He then goes on to say that they also are not involved in what's happening in Congress. He lays out in terms of what they should be backing. He ends it by saying they should be lobbying Congress, holding voter registration drives, quizzing candidates on their plan for citizenship reform, but don't heckle the candidates and incite violence by calling for cop killing. The movement could be critical to securing and mobilizing black support for criminal justice reform that actually would improve black lives. What Juan Williams wrote is a flat-out lie. It simply isn't the truth. The fact of the matter is, folks in the Black Lives Matter movement are doing that. Now, let me teach Juan and teach Don and teach Bill about Black Lives Matter. First of all, understand this. Black Lives Matter, folks, started as a hashtag in 2013 after George Zimmerman was acquitted of killing Trayvon Martin. The founders of Black Lives Matter, Alicia Garza, Patrisse Cullors, Opal Tometi. Now, that was the hashtag. It evolved into a series of organizations. There are some 25 chapters right now that are autonomous of the National Black Lives Matter organization. But here's the piece all these media folks don't seem to understand. When you talk about Black Lives Matter, it's not really one entity. That's why it's called a movement. In fact, there are numerous organizations that utilize the calling card Black Lives Matter. In essence, it was a simple three-word statement that summed up the feelings of so many African Americans who were outraged to see African Americans who were dying and justice not being done. That's the reality of Black Lives Matter. Let me walk y'all through this here, okay? This is real simple. When you talk about these various organizations, pull them up, please. Here's the deal. You got Black Lives Matter Network, the Dream Defenders, which first of all came out the Trayvon Martin killing in 2012. You got Black Youth Project 100, Million Hoodies Movement for Justice, Black Alliance for Just Immigration. Go to the next one, please. You have Color of Change, Malcolm X Grassroots Movement, Project South, Southerners on New Ground, Organization for Black Struggle out of St. Louis. Next graphic, please. Advancement Project, Baltimore Algebra Project, Center for Constitutional Rights, the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, the Ohio Students Association. Next graphic, please. You have Rise Up Georgia, Ella Baker Center for Human Rights, Center for Popular Democracy, Ferguson Action. These are the groups, folks, who are very much involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. Again, not one organization, not one entity that's involved with it. Now, I laid out this criticism. You heard Don actually say this nonsense, you're not involved in the political process. Well, check this out. The reality is the Black Lives Matter folks did reject, what was stated from the Democratic National Committee when they passed a resolution trying to agree with their various agenda. But here's what Don Lemon didn't tell you. What he did not tell you was the reason they rejected the resolution. Black Lives Matter activists have not been checking out of the political process. They've been involved in the political process. This is a statement on the Black Lives Matter website, Facebook page from Sunday, August 30th, 2015. Shelley, pull up my iPad, please. This is what it says. A resolution signaling the Democratic National Committee's endorsement that Black Lives Matter in no way implies an endorsement of the DNC by the Black Lives Matter Network, nor was it done in consultation with us. You hear what I'm saying? Wasn't done with this. They also say, more specifically, the Black Lives Matter Network is clear that a resolution from the Democratic National Committee won't bring the changes we seek. Resolutions without concrete change are just business as usual. Promises are not policies. All right, now, let me walk you through this as well. Juan Williams said there's no agenda. Juan Williams said they aren't involved in terms of policy, lobbying. Don Lemon says, oh, you guys are out here just yelling. Now, again, if you know how to use Google, which we do here at TV One, this is what you clearly understand. And that is, there are various solutions that have been offered by numerous groups. Join CampaignZero.org, a group of activists involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. They actually have put together. Shelley, pull up my iPad, please. Folks, do you see what it says? Solutions. Let me scroll on up. Here are 10 policy solutions. End broken windows policing, community oversight, limit use of force, independently investigate and prosecute, community representation, body cams, film the police, training, end for-profit policing, demilitarization, fair police union contracts. Okay, inside of those 10 are a total of 33 specific policies. Now that's just join CampaignZero.org. There are other organizations as well. The New York Justice League, they also have their very clear list of demands. They are one of the groups, and that falls under, if you will, this notion of Black Lives Matter. This is on their website. We demand the following. And it says immediate action. The immediate firing of Officer Danielle Pantaleo, who killed Eric Garner. The state of New York will appoint a special prosecutor. Guess what happened? Governor Andrew Cuomo signed that executive order. So they actually pressured the governor to do that. Hey, Don Lemon, that's called being involved in the political process. The city and state of New York draft legislation to clarify the rules of engagement. New York City created a comprehensive NYPD training program. An immediate end to NYPD's broken windows policing. An end to the criminalization of young people in the New York school system. U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder expedite the federal investigation into the death of Eric Garner. Immediate passage of the Right to Know Act. New York State and all localities engage in complete transparency. We call on Mayor Bill de Blasio, Governor Andrew Cuomo, and New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman to meet with the New York Justice League to deal with all these issues. Folks, this is public policy. And so what Juan Williams wrote is a lie. What Don Lemon said is a lie. What Bill O'Reilly said is a lie. What this proves is they know nothing about Black Lives Matter. They know nothing about the activism that's going on by these various groups. They don't even bother to have these folks on the show. Now, the gentleman, Rashad Turner, that was only his third national media appearance, and he's out of St. Paul, Minnesota. He's not involved in some of these national dialogues that are going on. Oh, just one more thing. Ferguson Action, another entity. Guess what? Shelley, go to my iPad, please. These are their demands. They list the demands on their website. It's very clear. It deals with housing, it deals with education, it deals with jobs, prison industrial complex. They also have national demands. They have you can also download the demands. And so what I don't understand, how can journalists like Juan Williams and Don Lemon and Bill O'Reilly call themselves journalists when they can't even do basic fundamental research? On this show on TV One, we have interviewed numerous activists involved in Black Lives Matter. In fact, some of them are even calling this the movement for Black Lives. What you see, folks, is a clear intent to destroy what is being going on, a clear intent to delegitimize the activism going on. What Juan Williams has to understand is that actions to change the policies in America don't just happen in this building that you can see behind me. It happens in state capitals. It happens in City Hall, in County Commissioner's Court. So what I would hope, mainstream media, since I'm now taking you to school to understand this, that you actually do some research and stop thinking that somehow there's one organization and one leader you can call to understand this Black Lives Matter movement or this movement for Black Lives. What is clear is most of you are clueless because you can't do any basic reporting.
Okay. He said it all. I can't say it any better than that. The Black Lives Matter movement is not just one organization, but it's got 25 different chapters or affiliates, which is smart because if you recall, back in the day, and I'm talking about the day of King and Malcolm X, King was trying to work within the system. Malcolm X was trying to work outside of the system to create his own separate system. Now the word is that both of these leaders were going to get together and form a coalition between the two. Now that's just a rumor. I have no solid proof on that. But can you imagine what would have happened if King and Malcolm X had gotten together and formed a legitimate, full-blown source of power? Where would we be then? But people like J. Edgar Hoover and others recognize this, and that's why both of those brothers were killed. And you'll notice that once they left the scene, all of those movements slowly started slowing down and for the most part becoming almost irrelevant. I mean, you have various places like the NAACP, which obviously is not effective whatsoever. And you don't really hear much about the black Muslims other than when Minister Farrakhan speaks in Chicago, and the power structure basically labels him as a racist and everything else that they can label him, though. So anyway, this is an informational video. Hopefully, if you watch it, you'll agree with it. And if you do agree with it, I ask that you just get it out to everybody that you think should see it, so that when the Black Lives Matter movement is spoken about, you are informed and have information that you can use in order to defend them if necessary. Thanks very much. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pull up the list of the organizations that Roland Martin mentioned. Now, later in the show, which you didn't see here, he and another one of his panelists, I'm trying to think of her name, it was Michelle, I can't remember her last name. But anyway, they're supposed to get together within the next couple of days and put together a complete nationwide list of all of the organizations that are utilizing the hashtag Black Lives Matter. All right, everybody, have a good day, and I will get back with you as soon as I can with additional information. Take care.